Hi everyone, and welcome to WAVES Magazine's All Island Candidate Q&A. I'm your host, Lauren Hall, along with Ali Carby, and today we are joined with Miss Alicia Swann, one of the independent All Island candidates. Miss Swann, please introduce yourself to the viewers. Let them know who you are and what you're all about.
Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Hall. Thank you for having me. Something I like to do before I actually start my interviews is first thank God for allowing me the opportunity to be able to speak into lives of others. Secondly, something I also request with your permission is having a moment of silence in observation of those persons who have lost their lives to violent crimes, persons who have lost their lives, and loved ones who have lost their loved ones to COVID-19 and other illnesses. So with your permission, may I?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning again. As mentioned, I am an all-island candidate for the upcoming general election. My name is Alicia Swann. I am originally from the island of South Caicos. However, I spent time also on the island of Grand Turk, where I lived for about 2 years, and I worked with government there as well. I am a daughter, a mother, a sister, a mentor, an advocate for persons, particularly those who are single mothers or those who seem as if they don't have a voice.
I'm going to start us off, I guess, with our first question. You've already mentioned during your moment of silence the people in the Turks and Caicos who have lost their loved ones to crime and violence. So as part of your platform, you've mentioned that tackling crime is one of the most important things on your agenda.
Yes.
Do you have an actionable plan about how you will get this done?
Most definitely. I don't believe that anything that should be a platform that is not properly thought out or have some idea of how it should work. One of the things that I look at, if you look at most developing countries or most countries around the world, when it comes to tackling crime, the country tends to look at various ways in terms of recruiting. So in terms of our recruitment, that is something that I have given thought to. Reason being is that we always hear that the police force has a shortage of manpower. So the way that I look at it is we should look into the possibility of hiring special constables. Special constables will be volunteer persons within our community. They can be retired policemen, other persons within the community who has a passion in making sure that we live in a safe environment for ourselves as well as our visitors. These special constables can be persons that are trained with the police force, and the way that they work is that they will assist in the administrative areas. So taking reports and so forth and passing it on to the police for police actioning will help to free up our police to be able to do more police work. I personally know that we do have a community policing within our communities that is headed by Assistant Commissioner of Police Grant, and I work along with them in that area of community policing. So I've worked with Inspector Kevin Clark, where we did drive arounds in the neighborhoods, introduce ourselves to residents, hear from them, hear their concerns. And the concerns varies. The concerns may be crime, there may be lighting, different things that, within speaking to them that we find out from them. And then it allows a way of trying to deal with these issues, whether it's speaking with Fortis to try and get lighting for these areas or whatever the case may be. So if I'm elected and given the opportunity, this is something that I would lobby, that the same way that I have provided my time to volunteer in the way that they see fit of making me useful, that there's other persons in the community who also would feel the same way and want to provide their time. In addition to that, recently I heard our Premier had mentioned about the Commissioner of Police thinking of introducing sub-mobile stations. While I think this is an excellent idea, but I do believe that it will be more useful in the hotspot areas. However, long term, I do believe that the need of having 24-hour substations within our settlements and in our communities is definitely needed. So by having these special constables, freeing up police to be able to actually work and do their duties and assist with administrative tasks, there can be amended police substations 24 hours, and it is a joint effort with the community as well as our police force working together in unity in the combat of fighting crime.
I found it interesting what you said about asking people in your community about their concerns and their ideas. Which area did you guys find had the most concerns while you guys were out asking questions?
That is a very good question. And what I can say to that is that the way that it works, you have to strategically look in various areas, ensure that you have provided sustainable assistance in that area before moving on to another area. So with that being said, we have started off in the Blue Hills area, which we identify in Providencial as being one of the hotspot areas. So right now, that is the main focus area, and it is hoped that it will be continued as we develop that and a plan moving forward for that area that will be similar in the other constituencies as well. So it takes time. It will be an ongoing process as we move along and have this movement into a positive way of how we combat crime.
Ms. Swann, it is very evident from your answer that you are passionate about securing the safety of Turks and Caicos and the people who live in it. And what we have noticed as well from what you have put out as your plan, if we're to be elected, is that you also want to secure success for Turks and Caicos Islanders as well by making us stakeholders within our own country. So what changes do you plan to make regarding the current systems to ensure that this happens?
Excellent question, Ms. Hall. Thank you so much. Yes, I do believe that it is imperative that Turks and Caicos Islanders are first in our country. Now, that is a very broad statement, and we tend to hear it very often, Turks and Caicos Islanders made first. To me, that means empowering our people, making sure that, again, them being stakeholders meaning that we open ways for them to be able to receive funding for whether it be housing, whether it be businesses, whether it be scholarships for our youth, whether it's making jobs available that is tailored around our people and diversifying our job market. We have so many talents that are not being explored properly, such as in the arts, and that is a very diverse area within itself. But it's one of those areas that a lot of our young people tend to gravitate to. And I do believe that if given the opportunity, we can explore these areas. I work closely with the young people as well in the school systems as well, with Clement Howell High School being a verifier for the CPQ program. And with doing so, it allows me to have an avenue to speak to them on a more one-on-one basis and get to know them. And the ideas that flow from our young people, it amazes me.
Sorry, you didn't hear the last part of what you said.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that technology, right? Yes. So I would love to see the arts being explored more with our youth. I would love to see funding available for all of our people to make it more easy for them to get into various areas of different career paths. I would love to see, when it comes to empowering our people, providing them ways in which they...
Ms. Swann, once again, the mic went mute.
I love that you mentioned my alma mater, Clement Howell.
Yes, yes.
The first time any interview has mentioned that during one of our interviews. So yeah, big up to you.
Wow. Thank you. Big up to Clement Howell. I love it. I love the students and the teachers. I thoroughly enjoy working with them. It is amazing.
And I think with a lot of our young people leaving school and I guess pursuing a career or, pursuing job opportunities. I think one of the things that is going to continuously come to the forefront, and I believe it's also a part of your campaign as well, is the workers' union. Yeah, what would be a benefit of such a union, and how would you go about creating one in the Turks and Caicos?
I am so happy you asked that, because the workers' union is something very close to my heart. Reason being is I have explored the option of being a part of a workers' union some years ago, but the then government did not see it as something beneficial at the time. However, since then, we have seen tremendous growth within our workforce, and we have seen a need where it is something that cannot be side-eyed by the government anymore. The workers' union is something that will allow workers to be under one umbrella, one group of persons being able to present their case to the government, the employers, and to advocate on their behalf. So the way that the workers' union will work is that we will have a group of persons that will be there to represent the larger workforce. Prior to the pandemic, we had seen where the tower employees had striked because they felt like their voice was not being heard. I was one of those persons who stood on the sideline with them, with the pickets and lobbying for their cause as well. And I'm happy to see the outcome was something that drew the attention of government. They were able to come to an amicable agreement that worked for them. I did follow up with a few of them, and they said that, things were working out. So that shows that there's strength in numbers. Most recently with the pandemic, we have seen where persons who are in the hospitality industry, the taxi drivers who felt like that they've been neglected. Had we had a workers' union, they would have been represented.
I believe the taxi industry already has its own union in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not certain. I would have to do a little bit more research. I'm not sure if it is a union, but I do know, even with working with the resorts and so forth, they do have a structured body that that represents them. However, I do believe that the introduction of the actual workers' union is something that will also be very beneficial to them in terms of getting their voice and their concerns heard on a more structured environment.
So following on with this, because a part of the whole conversation regarding workers' union also comes down to wages. Here in Turks and Caicos, we know it is quite an interesting cost of living in comparison to other countries. And with that, the conversation about the current minimum wage has come up quite a lot. Where do you stand on that topic?
That is something that is a concern of mine, as well as I know a lot of Turks and Caicos Islanders. Wages is something that I do believe the government needs to explore and not just say that they're doing, but something that we really take a look into. I believe that there must be, we have to look at it in the way of how it will impact our overall country, ensure that we are not in a position of being of inflation. However, I do believe that the introduction of price control is something that will also assist with it. I do believe that there is room for increase of wages. We have had a minimal increase under the administration of Dr. Rufus Ewing, and I do believe that there is also room for more in that area. But how much is something that we will have to look into. So while we're looking at the numbers, which will take, experts in these areas to also give their input on this, the introduction of price control is something that can also help us tremendously. When I say price control, again, it will be something new to Turks and Caicos. So therefore, we would need a regional study as well as a pilot scheme on this area. While doing so, it is imperative that we have dialogue with our major stakeholders, such as our major supermarkets, mom and pop businesses who would more than likely be affected most, as well as our nutritionists, to see how we can best work with them in the way of duty exemptions, or how we can bring in essential items, essential food produced items that will keep our people healthy and make sure that they have a way of purchasing these foods at a lesser cost that we have now. We do know eating healthy in our country is very difficult because it's so expensive. So we have to look in ways of how we can keep our nation healthy as well. In addition to that, with price control, as I touched on briefly earlier, we have to look in ways of how we can provide affordable housing. So housing schemes is something else as well we can look into, whether we explore rent-to-own homes, whether we explore, programs for first-time homeowners, compatible in the area of what we currently have now, how we can make the market more compatible for persons who are renting and wanting to explore purchasing homes so that they can save more to be able to purchase homes. Branching off a little bit of that as well, we need to also look at ways of which funding is made available. Penny banks, credit unions, these sorts of things that people can buy into to make funding more accessible to our people. All these are ways of which we can look into other than just the one area of minimum wage. I believe more so than anything else, people need to be empowered and given opportunities and to be able to expand our mindsets of how we can work and live into our country, be a part of our country, and benefit from our country in various ways. So yes, minimum wage is something that I am passionate about and do believe need to be explored, but we also have to be very smart and educated of how we go about this, and also give our people other options of how they can be able to afford living comfortably in our country.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that. Just to go back to what you said earlier, you did mention quite briefly that you want to help students regarding the arts. You want to expand the arts. You've worked with students at Clement Howell, and as most people would know, Clement Howell happens to have some of the most creative people there.
Oh, yes.
And
they definitely do.
With WAVES, we are completely about culture and creativity, wanting to push that and show that it isn't dead. So where are you looking at when it comes to, firstly, expanding and ensuring that TCI culture remains something that is held close to us, but also giving people an avenue to be creative and to express themselves in a way where they aren't confined?
May I tell you, I am just loving these questions because everything that is being asked is so close and dear to my heart. I must take a minute to say that. Thank you. I do think this is an excellent question. I believe that we must look in creative ways of integrating our culture in our education system, for example, as one of the areas. I believe that we need to look into introducing TCI studies as one option within our education department. And I'll just stray off a little bit, but I definitely will get to the answer to your question. So ways of introducing TCI studies within our school systems, as well as ensuring that we introduce civics, so that from a very young age, and I'm speaking from primary school level, civics, it's so important that we understand our culture and where we are and where we came from as a people. So this is where the TCI studies will come in, starting from the primary school level and also in our high school and also our college level. TCI, well, I know we do have a TCI studies program in the college, the Turks and Caicos Community College, but having that introduced in our primary school and high school level. civics so that from a very young age, we will understand politics more. There's so much questions as it relates to how politics actually works within our country. Also, finance. I recall when I first moved to Providenciales, very young, from South Caicos, and I was so excited when I got into the banking system and getting my account and everything, getting a credit card, because it was so easy to obtain a credit card at the time. Oh my gosh, I thought I had arrived. I have access to free money in my mindset at that time. So of course I went spending monies and, purchasing things, and this is so great and easy, quick money. Yes, but when it came to paying back and all the interest rates and everything, oh my God, it was a total nightmare trying to get myself back on track. So understanding finance and how it works is also very important as how we educate our people. So TCI studies, civics, finance, all of these areas are areas that should be explored, and I would advocate to see introduced into our school systems to first educate our people. Secondly, I do believe, and it is something that I've working in the hospitality industry for so many years, and I've always thought that there is a need for this. I believe that our tourism sector, it should be mandated that anyone working in tourism, particularly in the frontline areas, have a certificate in TCI studies. We have so many guest workers within our country, and we tend to hear our people always saying that we are dominated by cultures. I do believe the reason for that is that we have not really been taught our culture to begin with. So we must educate our people, our children, in particular, our young, brilliant minds that are growing up, the importance to have an appreciation, a respect, and a pride for whom we are, where we've came from, and all of the work that our forefathers had fought to bring us to the place that we are today. We must be able to introduce this into our systems of tourism, because we cannot really blame persons for practicing their culture when we too have not really identified our own. And so by doing so, it is not something that surprises me that people gravitate to what they know. They know their culture, so obviously they will practice that. However, a lot of times, because I was also a training manager at one of the major resorts here in Providenciales, and a lot of times when introducing the company's mandate to the new workers, I see them as sponges. They want to know more. They are interested in knowing a lot more about who we are as a people. So by having them provided an opportunity to do so, it will allow them to appreciate us more. It will help us to be able to work more in sync and in unity of being able to draw from each other's cultures. Turks and Caicos is a melting pot. Many of us, if we look at our history, we have family from Haiti, Dominican Republic. I myself is a product of Indian culture, heritage, Puerto Rican heritage, Turks and Caicos heritage. My grandmother was actually born in Haiti because my great-grandmother was working in Haiti at the time, where she met my great-grandfather, who was Puerto Rican. So our culture has to be diversified, but it's extremely important that we do not lose our identity while doing so.
Thank you. And in regards to the arts, what are your plans there?
In regards to the arts, I am so excited about this. I see introduction of the arts, theater. We have persons, and we have persons who have the love for theater, for music. We have so much talent in music. We tend to see it displayed a lot during graduations, where we would have the graduates, they will sing and they will rap and they'll put something together and the crowd loves it. So I would love to see the introduction of music more in a diverse area with the rapping and the different areas that our young people feel most comfortable in expressing themselves. Theater it's so many areas of the art that can be explored. I'm just touching on a few areas, but my definite goal is to reach out to our young people, reach out to our people and hear from them as to what areas of the art they too would like to be explored. Seeing more of our steel band and our cultural music being something that is displayed even more so than just into the school, but actually making it available, that it is out there globally, that we can be more prideful of who we are, again, as a people, and displaying our talents in the arts.
I do want to ask, though, just to help our viewers and just to dive a little deeper into it, what exactly will you do? And well, not what will you do, but how will you achieve those things for the community? Will there be programs involved? What will happen to facilitate these plans?
Thank you for the question, Ms. Hall. One of the great opportunities, I believe, as being an independent candidate is that I am a part of the people. Whereas I appreciate and I admire all that has been done as it relates to our party systems, but we do also have to recognize that parties have their own mandate. They come with their manifestos and what their plans are for our country, which is a great thing within itself. However, the empowerment of being able to be the voice of our people is a tremendous opportunity, something that I would love to be able to have a seat in Parliament to represent. So by doing so, my mandate will be the people's mandate. And how will I do that? Is coming to the people, making myself accessible, having times that I am available where people can come to me with their concerns or their ideas and what they would like to see happening for them, more so than what we are being told we should have, but more inclusion of our people as having me as their messenger and their voice. So my mandate is simply this: being the voice of our people, giving them an avenue of having someone to say, hey, no, I'm hearing this bill coming up, but I do not agree with it. So I know when I'm going in the House of Assembly, I have the biggest team. I'm not a team of just 7 or 6 or what have you. I am the team of the Turks and Caicos in its entirety. So we must be able to win if we have the biggest voice in our House of Assembly.
I want to talk about the education system in its entirety in the Turks and Caicos and what improvements you think could be made.
Definitely. I love that question. Thank you so much. I did touch a little bit of my ideas for the education system, that is. But before even going further into that, I must say that even from when I was in school and even today, we have produced in Turks and Caicos some of the most dynamic homegrown teachers. And I know we all can think of some of those teachers who to today we actually we thank them for their contributions that they have instilled and what they've given us, more further than the traditional education, but also as persons, the encouraging words and all that they have poured into us as individuals, which help mold us. I am one of those persons who have been molded by great Turks and Caicos homegrown teachers. So with that being said, I do believe we are now at a position that we have to explore ways that we can diversify our education system so that we can keep up with the times. Times has changed, and also what we provide to our children in terms of education must also evolve with this change. Hence, as mentioned, the introduction, so that they can be diverse in how our politics works. As it comes to finance, as mentioned, so that they can make more educated decisions moving forward from a very young age, in molding them of how they see their life would be turning out to be in the area of finance. The introduction of our TCI culture, so that they can be able to have pride in our history and how it works. All of these areas that I would love to see introduced in our education systems to make us more diversified and strong, more independent thinkers, so that we can make better decisions of how we move forward in our education.
Yes, and we talked a little bit before about the role of single parents in our community, and you're a huge advocate for single parents. And yeah,
I am.
So what assistance to the students that might be in single parent household are you looking to provide for them going forward if you are to be elected?
When it comes to what is provided for the students, it all has to start first with the foundation, which is the home. So in so doing so, I'll just say briefly, one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about single parenting is because I am a single mother. My mother is a single mother. So I am a product of a strong single mother. My mother has had one child, me. I am a mother of 6. So the dynamics were very different there. And by being a single mother and having young children of my own, I know it's very important that the foundation at home is wholesome and structured in a way that there's stability in the home. So first and foremost, we must be able to open up ways that parents can receive education in terms of how to best be single parents. You have a lot of our single parents are very young as well. They become single parents at a very young age, and they too are developing themselves. They're still learning. There's no end. There's no roadmap of how you should really be a single parent and what you should and shouldn't do. But I do believe that we must open up ways to make it easier for single parents in the way of being able to provide food for their children, being able to have an avenue that they can speak of issues that they too may be facing that is affecting their children at home. Speaking with a lot of young people, it amazes me what they go through. Many times I am in a position where I'm holding back tears of what they face, because I've never faced a lot of the things that they're facing. And to see them smiling every day and coexisting with their peers, it amazes me how they do that. And my heart really goes out to them, because I've seen it firsthand. I've heard it firsthand. I've mentored a lot of young people in these areas. So I believe that we need to form ways that we have persons like myself who are passionate about young people, being mentors, setting up Big Sisters and Big Brothers programs where they have someone outside of the home environment while we're trying to educate and provide assistance for their parents, outside of that environment where they can find someone that they can speak to, that can speak into their lives and be example setters that, hey, you are not alone. I will be there for you, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be there and help you through this. And together we will get through this. Whether it be helping them with speaking to their teachers, why they're so abrupt, they're so distant in the classroom. It stems from something that they may not be sharing with everyone. Whether it be they're so isolated from everyone. You have children that are being abused at home and don't know who to speak to or who to trust, because those persons who they trusted most violated them. violated them in the way that is the deepest way of violation, who you are as a person, where you almost feel as if you don't have a voice. I will be that voice. I will seek out people who feel the same way and who may experienced a lot of what our young people are experiencing, and giving them an avenue of persons that I would lead. I'm not just going to put people there to work with our young people. No, our young people are too important to just give them to anyone who say I want to be a part. It must be people that I feel have what it takes, that I can speak to on a regular basis, that we can regroup and see how we're working with these young people, how we can best reach them, how we can best provide them what they need without putting their business on the streets. These sorts of people I'm talking about. And this is one of that I will advocate, and I'm very passionate about. I have been doing, but I'll do it on a larger scale to make sure that our young people feel that they do have a voice outside of what they currently have.
Would you be able to tell us how many children in the Turks and Caicos, in terms of percentage or portion, are living in single parent households at the moment?
I personally don't have that data at the moment, but I would be able to try and find that out if it is available, that is. I would definitely try and work with the social services department. They should be able to provide some data with that. It would probably be a combination of social services. It will be a combination of the schools, because, we do have our guidance counselors who works closely with the parents and so forth. I work closely with the guidance counselors, but it will be something that I would have to investigate to be able to provide those numbers.
It is clear that you do have a passion when it comes to single parents, as it is evident through your life, as you told us before. But as we speak about life, one of the things that happens as people get older, and as part of your platform, you have mentioned prior that you would like to provide, whether it's retirement homes or nursing homes for elderly. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Thank you. I'm so happy that you brought that up. We find a lot of time that because of a number of reasons, our older people who are now in their golden age are almost in a position as if they are just there. And I find it very heartbreaking, because we have, as you had mentioned, life has its stages. We have our youth where we're young and we're strong and we contribute. They've passed that stage. They're now in a stage where they cannot do as they used to do in the past. And I believe strongly that it is imperative that in their golden age, they are as comfortable as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of their family members are not in a position to care for them personally. Not that they don't want to, but it's just not practical in doing so. Whether it may be because of finance, whether it may be because of work and the hours that they are at work and have to work to provide for their current families and so forth. There's a number of factors that may not allow the immediate family to be able to care for their elderly. So therefore, I believe that it is imperative that we as a government look in ways of providing for our elderly. They must not be left behind. Mm-hmm. Being able to provide nursing and retirement homes in each island is something that I will definitely advocate for. When you go and visit your family, your elderly family, we should be able to go there and see them living as if they're living in a hotel. They deserve nothing less. We should be able to have them be able to have beautiful gardens that they, if they can't, if not mobile, that the workers can, push them in their wheelchairs, and there's gardens and there's flowers and there's plant life where they can connect to nature. All of this is a part of their health, being able to be connected with the earth and the beauty that is there. Persons where they can have a space where they can play their card games and so forth, and they can congregate together and speak of their families and show photos of their children and grandchildren and be proud to say, look at what my grandchild is doing to another person of their age, of their peer. We need to think of them as people and the stage of their life and what may be most important to them. Structured visitation times where they know that they will have their family being able to visit them in a setting, air-conditioned facilities, televisions, gospel music that plays when most of our young people, our older people enjoy listening to. Those who are mobile, that they can dance and be themselves and have a life still, feel as if they're still living while they're still alive. I believe this is what I envision our nursing and our retirement homes should look like. This is something that I will push for. My mom is in the stage of her golden age, and this is something that I feel very passionate about, that she can too, along with others who are in the same position that I am. At my age group, there's many of us whose parents are at that stage of their life. And this is what I want for my parents and what I would want for others as well within our country.
Thank you so much for that response. And personally, as someone who grew up extremely close to all four of her grandparents, luckily, I understand the passion behind wanting to ensure, like you said, that they are still living whilst alive. I think that was a very strong statement you made, because it is so easy to forget about them if you don't have to actually deal with them on a day-to-day. But the case in point is that there are people who love them and people who care about them, and they need to still feel that love even after they've gotten past retirement age, because like you said, they are still alive. So I do genuinely appreciate that passion that you have for that topic in particular.
Miss Alicia, or Alicia, I don't know which one you prefer.
Can I stick in a moment in that? I love that. I so love that. The reason why, as I had mentioned to you guys, I worked in the hospitality industry for so many years. And by doing so, and in the frontline area, I've had catered to guests from all over the world. And the question always was, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Alicia or Alicia? And I always say tomatoes or tomatoes, they're all the same thing. So however you feel as pronouncing my name, it is perfectly fine. Americans usually say Alicia. I grew up with Alicia, which is the Hispanic heritage of my mom, where my name came from. So Alicia is how I grew up, but Alicia is perfectly fine as well.
Okay, so Miss Alicia Swann, you know that the name of a candidate, and especially independent candidate, is very imperative when they are running for elections. And normally, I think it's fair to say that they are viewed as underdogs. I think it's also fair to say that you chose, well, at least if you didn't choose to run for election quite late in the game, people are just starting to know who you are just now. Why did you choose to run so late for elections? And do you think waiting so long will impair your campaign in any kind of way?
You know what? I'm so happy you asked that question. It's something that I know needed to be addressed. The way I see it, I have not just came out here. My entire life work is my campaign. I believe that we must become way more mature when it comes to the selection of our candidates and when and how we present ourselves. Now, as I mentioned, I started my career at the age of 17, running the only hotel in my island of South Caicos. And I have been working ever since. I have touched many lives directly as well as indirectly. In terms of the time of which I presented myself openly to the public, it took a lot of thought. It took a lot of preparation. As I had mentioned, I'm working with the police department, I'm working with the schools. I have been campaigning, but not openly in social media per se. I believe that it is not necessary to say I should be campaigning months and months ahead of time. I think my time now that I'm giving is making other people aware of who I am, who may not know me, because trust me, there are a lot of people who do know me, and making those who do know me aware that I am actually in the race. I would like to touch a little bit more on that too, by saying that when we are electing persons, we must understand that the people of the Turks and Caicos, they are the boss. So it is important to stray away a little bit from the political rhetoric and the theatrics that tend to come with the hype and who to vote for. And hence, I strategically decided for the next few weeks, starting off from the time of my announcement, to do personal interviews so that I can answer the questions that I may not present by doing my live videos or what have you. This way it is structured. You have the questions like this one that has been one of the ones burning questions in the minds of persons. Why so late? I have not started late. My entire life is my campaign. And it's something that I take very serious. Anything that is connected to me is very, very serious, and of how I approach it and take it. So doing so, I had been taking time to prepare myself. We also have to remember that putting yourself out there for service means that there is a part of your life that is affected that we don't speak so much on, which is our personal life. As mentioned, I am a single parent, and I had to decide fully within myself that by doing so, that means I'm giving more of myself and time away from my family. So careful thought had to be given also. I had to sit with my children and speak with them also, for them to understand, hey, that means you will want me to do this too, because my children have been some of my greatest supporters. They've always said, Mom, you've always been your entire life there for people. You're such a nice person. You always say these kinds of things. So they actually advocated for me in doing so. I had to make them aware that this would mean Mommy giving more time of herself to the entire public, the entire populace of the Turks and Caicos. My youngest son, who is 16, he made a statement. He said, Mom, I want you to do this. I want you to win, but I do know that means that you'll have less time at home. And that touched me. It moved me. It meant something to me because it's personal. And it is very important to be able to separate your personal life from your public life. I believe my personal life is what gives me the avenue and the ability to give of myself publicly, because it is so close to my heart. Anyone who knows me knows my relationship with my children is so strong. So I am going to expand on this because I want to make the message clear. It is very important to me that anything that I involve myself in, I am emotionally, mentally, physically, all spiritually, every aspect of my being is fully a part of that. So I had to make sure that I look into the areas that are not in the public eye, are secured as well. Me presenting myself, to me, as I mentioned, has always been my work. I have always been there. I've always advocated for persons. I've always given myself, not just speaking it, but living it. So when presenting myself, please don't look at saying it's been a short period of time. Look at what I'm bringing to the table. Look at why I'm bringing it to the table. Let's mature as a people. Let's not look at having to have months of presenting ourselves, but let our life work speak volumes as to why we're doing this and why should we be given a chance to represent our people in the House of Assembly.
Thank you so much for that answer. And I do hope that it gets through to the viewers, the message that you're trying to convey. Now, I know that you have seen WAVES' previous interviews that we have had with other candidates in the race. And I don't know if you were expecting this question to come up, but we have asked everyone this. If you were to choose which ministerial position you'd get in, which one would you choose? And why do you feel you would be qualified for that position?
Thank you for the question. My life and my experiences and skill sets are very transferable. I must place that out there first. So I would be quite comfortable in any area of labor, immigration, tourism. I've been doing that basically all my entire career, which started from 17. However, the area in which I personally would want to focus in more right now that touches deeply to me is the area of social services. I believe our country is at a position where our people must be empowered more, and reaching our people and being the voice of our people to me means that I would want to be closely firsthand involved in the area of social services and developing, areas of which are single parents, not only single mothers, but also single fathers, have a way of being empowered, where our youth feel that I can create programs that our youth can be empowered. And I touched a little bit of why I would want to do that. Our elderly and all aspects of who we are as a people. So my first and foremost goal would be to be able to serve in the area of social services that I feel would empower our people more at this point in time. It is very important, as my motto is, UP, which is UPP, meaning unity, protect, and preserve. And being able to work in the social services, it will allow me to be able to do just that by directly impacting our people moving forward.
Thank you. Oh, Alik, you're messing with me now. Anyway, I'll do it. Thank you so much, Ms. Swann, for answering that question.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay. I know we've been grilling you quite a lot.
That's perfectly fine. I'm enjoying it. I love it. I love it. I do love it.
Just to bounce off of what Lauren was saying just now, what makes you so confident that you will win? What elements of your campaign do you think is the strongest? What makes you the strongest candidate?
First and foremost, I wouldn't say I don't believe in being overly confident in terms of the outcome of the situation. And with my life experience, I am one of those who knows that we cannot plan out any way our life will turn out. But what I will say is I am a confident person because I know who I am. I know what I'm bringing to the table, and I know what I can deliver. You had one of you had briefly mentioned the underdog. My entire life has been the underdog. I have always been an underdog. Starting off my career at 17, I have to keep on going back there because on WAVE, I want to give our young people a motivation that age is really just a number. You can achieve anything that you set your mind to, despite of the odds that is against you, despite of what people tell you you can and cannot do, despite the limitations people try to put on you. It is all entirely up to you. So while I am not overly confident of the outcome, I am confident in the fact of my message because it is who I am. It is all elements of my experiences that made me the person that I am today. I'm very strong because I know what it is to have been weak. I am an independent candidate because I'm an independent thinker. I do know what it is to stand alone, and I know what it is to have only God on your side, which is a great place to be because our faith and my spiritual growth has made me to rely on Him and not so much of the noise in the market. I am a messenger of hope. And I do believe that my message will resonate because it is something that I have lived and I have seen other people living through, and it is relatable. It is real.
Yeah.
It is not premeditated. And that is why I love your show, because even in the fact that I don't even know what you're going to ask me. So what I'm telling you is I'm drawing from my life experiences, my beliefs, and what I can bring and will bring to the table. So while in doing so, my confidence level is up there because my faith and trust is in God, and everything that I have been afforded in life, I've always said is because of His grace and His mercy. And if it is His will that I am given an opportunity to represent my country and my people in the House of Assembly, I would graciously and humbly accept. However, if not successful, this will be written in the history books that Alicia Swann has bought herself out, regardless of what, and made it aware that there is hope, there is a way of getting things done, and I am not stopping. Either way, I will never stop until my breath leaves my body. And when that happens, because we are all on a time clock and we do not know when our time will expire, I would love, and my whole plan is to leave a legacy, leave footsteps for my children, my generation, your generation, so be it if it's God's plan for your life. And those out there who's listening to me, to say that she was a voice of hope. She was not just a nice person, but she came with something. She came with passion, and she loved the Turks and Caicos and its people because she is a part of the Turks and Caicos and its people. A country that I have been a part of my entire life. I have never left home. I've been educated, but I've never left home. I've always been a part of. I've been through the goods and the bads, the heartaches, the hardships, it all. I have always been here. So again, when it speaks about just presenting yourself, I've always presented myself because I've always been here and I've always been a part of my community.
Thank you, Ms. Swann. Your determination is admirable. Now, to switch gears, I know you said earlier, I know you said earlier before we actually started recording that you were excited to get on this interview with us. And, you know, we did have a bit of laughs earlier. So we do have a special question as per WAVES tradition. And as a mother of 6, it is safe enough to assume you've done your fair share of arts and crafts projects. So,
oh yes.
Our question to you is, why doesn't glue stick to the inside of the bottle?
Oh my goodness. Well, being a single mother and having to be very creative, oh my gosh, glue alone was not the only adhesive that we've used. We've used bubble gum, we've used, you name it, we've used it. So, so I really don't know why, but I can tell you creativity was definitely there. So I feel like I'm almost an expert in art when it comes to creativity and trying to make projects work, and tell my kids, make sure you take it and don't touch it so it wouldn't fall off before you have your presentation. So very, very lovely question. But yes, as a mother, you're so creative in so many ways, and there's some mysteries that we probably will never understand.
All right. Well, actually, so you know the answer, all right? And I'm only just learning this right now as well. It is apparently because it's not exposed to air. So the reason why it sticks is because it's exposed to air. This is a very interesting thing, you know?
Oh, wow. So I've learned something new. Thank you.
We're always learning. I never knew that. Anyway, we do want to thank you so much for coming on with us on WAVES platform to have this interview, so that way the people of the TCI get to know you better. It was so much fun being able to interview you and learn more about you, your life, and your work. We wish you all the best in your political endeavors and can't wait to see what happens for you on February 19th.
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed this interview. I truly enjoyed it. And I would love to come back again.
Oh, yeah. We'd love to have you.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Bye, Turks and Caicos. I love you.
Time for the greatness. Me no give a damn fly back, no idiot. Me my riches like now, heard a good die young. Pray to God me ain't part of the sequel. Nah. Tell me how we have the right to life when the killing of my people's being amplified. Take a good look at the